Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Adam Burke from BangTheBook.com coming to you with our Friday Football Frenzy video. Going to go over all the games on the college football side for Saturday, and then also the entire card for Week 17 in the NFL. Great stuff going on over at BangTheBook.com. Please go and check out what our writers are putting together. Also get involved in our free pick contests over there. And with the new month starting up here next week, the monthly contests will reset as well. Gives you a good opportunity to get involved and win some cash prizes over there in those. Got to throw out a disclaimer here at the start of today's show. I need a GPS to find a winner right now, so play at your own peril. Fade if you want to, and if you do, you may end up buying yourself a private island here to start off 2019. But I got to say, these things happen. You run bad sometimes. You run into a lot of negative variance, and things just feel like they just feel like they're snowballing out of control for you. So these things are going to happen. Very unfortunate time for me, obviously, with the start of recording these videos and all that. But confident in my ability to bounce back. And, if you can't withstand some of these tough stretches, you're betting too much, or maybe this isn't the thing for you. So, obviously, I'm very frustrated, but been through these before, gotten through these rough seas before, and expecting to come out on the other end here in pretty good shape. Hopefully starting with this weekend on the gridiron. So we'll go ahead and start on the college side here. Try to run through all of these games in rapid fire fashion. The Arizona Bowl, Arkansas State and Nevada. Nevada 1.5 point favorite out there in the marketplace. Total on this game 56.5. Nevada was one of my biggest power ratings overlays coming into the bowl season. Do still like the Wolfpack here. Played them in the +1 range, but now flipping this line over to -1.5. Still like Nevada here. Game in a little bit of altitude. Right, that is something that helps the Wolfpack. And also, too, for Arkansas State. Couldn't even win a really bad division in the Sun Belt. Very disappointing year for them. I think it's maybe just because they're not as good of a team as they've been in the past. So I like Nevada there in the Arizona Bowl. We'll go to the Peach Bowl between Florida and Michigan. Michigan a 6-point favorite. Total on this game here, 51. Not really in love with anything in this game here. Reluctantly would consider taking the Florida side, but not a strong play either way in that one for me. South Carolina and Virginia in the Belk Bowl. South Carolina 5.5 point favorite, depending on where you look out there. Total on this game in the 54 range. It is coming down a little bit, but I kind of like the over in this game. Two mobile quarterbacks are going to keep plays alive. Bryce Perkins can get out there and run a little bit. Also having a pretty good year throwing the football. Jake Bentley coming on strong late in the year with the first year full-time offensive coordinator there and Brian McClendon. I like the over a little bit in this game. It goes against what the sharp money side is here. Obviously, be careful with that. But I think there can be some points in this game. Weather forecast looks pretty decent in Charlotte for tomorrow. I will say South Carolina will have a big crowd edge. So maybe that impacts your thoughts on the side for the Belk Bowl. College football playoff semifinals. By rotation order, the first one is the Orange Bowl. That is the later game between Oklahoma and Alabama. Alabama still 14-point favorite, 77 the total across the board. Again, not really anything I love in this game. I'm just hoping to see a good game here. I think there is a chance that Oklahoma does move the football in this Alabama defense. Moved it a lot on Georgia last year. That Georgia defense was pretty strong last season. The problem is here, I don't know how Oklahoma stops Alabama. Would expect to see some points, but a very high, historically high total really for this game. No play overall for me, but I guess if I had to lean one way or the other, I would lean with Oklahoma because I really do like Lincoln Riley and the skill set that Kyler Murray brings to the table here. But again, very, very slight lean in that one. In the Cotton Bowl, the earlier of the two semifinals, Clemson 12.5 point favorite, total 56.5 in that one. Still like Clemson a little bit. I mean, I know their defense did not show well against the SEC, but a lot of prep time for Brent Venables, a lot of prep time for Dabo Swinney. Trevor Lawrence has played well. Notre Dame, may be a little bit better at stopping the run than a lot of the ACC defenses that Clemson faced this year. So maybe this is a game that does stay under the total. I would lean that way and also lean Clemson, but again, nothing very strong. And just because those are the two marquee games of the weekend certainly does not mean that you need to play them. We'll transition over to the NFL side here for Week 17. Beginning with the first game on the board, Dallas and the Giants. Seeing some Dallas money hit the market here today. This number's down in the 5.5 range. Total on this game, 41.5. That's been coming down. Do like Dallas here. We'll be playing Dallas in the Super Contest. The line there is +6.5. I still like them here at the 5.5. Obviously a little bit less, moving through a pseudo key number of 6. But Jerry Jones, team president, owner, head coach, GM, pretty much everything that he is there for that franchise, said that guys are going to play. Dallas wants to round off some of those, or smooth out some of the rough edges here going into the playoffs. So I think they kind of treat this like a preseason game, get some guys some reps in the first half. I think that allows them to set the tone, keep this game close. Do like Dallas. They will be on my Super Contest card. And again, talking earlier in the segment about, running bad right now, I was 10, 25, and 5 in the first 8 weeks of the Super Contest, 27, 12, and 1 since. So, again, you got to take the good with the bad in this business and, make adjustments, adapt, trust yourself if you've had, long-term success here with your methodologies and things like that. So running pretty good in the NFL right now, not running any good in anything else at this point in time. But, again, there can be some variance, can be some volatility here in this business. And, for me right now, running well in the NFL after a very, very bad start. So do like Dallas here in this one. It will be a Super Contest play for me at the plus 6.5. At 5.5, still like the Cowboys a little bit there. Oakland and Kansas City. Kansas City up to a 14-point favorite. I agree with the line move from 13.5 to 14. I would lean Kansas City here in this game. The Raiders had their big emotional moment last week, perhaps their final home game there in Oakland. They get that win on Monday night against Denver. Now it's a short week. Off that emotional game, now you take on a Kansas City team with something to play for. I would lean Kansas City here minus the 14. Obviously, big numbers in the NFL. Pretty scary. Carolina and New Orleans, not a whole lot of interest in this game overall here. Didn't mention it all in the Super Contest segment that I recorded for today's Friday edition of Bang the Book Radio. New Orleans is a 7.5-point favorite. Total on this game, 43.5. Like the under a little bit in this one. The Saints have no reason to put anybody at risk here this week, even with the bye next week. Drew Brees maybe plays a quarter or something like that. Maybe they let Teddy Bridgewater throw it around a little bit, but I think that this is a game where both teams look to run the football. Carolina, obviously, with Kyle Allen not going to throw it a ton. I think the under is the way to look in that one. And also, too, the Saints offense has not done a whole lot here of late. They've been winning with defense. Wouldn't shock me if that continues here in Week 17. The Jets and New England. New England, 13.5-point favorite, total 45.5. This total has also been dropping. I like the Jets a little bit here. Sam Darnold doesn't have a whole lot of weapons right now with all the injuries at the wide receiver position. But again, I just don't see a Patriots team mobilized to blow somebody out. Running game looked very good last week with Sony Michel. So, maybe they do put some distance in this game in the second half, but would have to take the Jets getting the big number here. Patriots with bigger things to worry about in the coming weeks. Philadelphia and Washington. Washington getting 6.5 or 7 here at home. 7 pretty much the consensus number for this game. Total of 41.5 or 42. The Washington injury report is just, it's been long all year long. It's even longer now than it has been at any other point in the season. I don't think there's a ton of fight left in the Redskins. I would lay the number with Philadelphia if I had to. But again, not a game that I'm all that enamored with here this weekend. Detroit and Green Bay. Green Bay, 8-point favorite in this one. Total on this game, 44.5. Tough game. Matt Stafford is very, very clearly hurt. Green Bay doing some nice things offensively last week. I don't know how much fight is in the Lions here this week with Stafford hurt, with all the Matt Patricia noise and all that type of thing. Maybe Green Bay wants to send the fans out with a nice performance. Not a game I'm interested in. I would probably take the points with Detroit just because, Green Bay, not really a team I'd be comfortable laying a big number with. But again, not a game you have to get involved in unless you've got a really strong opinion on it. Jacksonville and Houston. This one's down to 6.5, pretty much market wide. Total of 40 on this one. We do have Houston in the Golden Nugget, and also we'll have them on our Super Contest Gold card. Houston has everything to play for here this week. They've got a lot of things, a lot of moving parts on the line. For Jacksonville, not so much. Probably won't have Leonard Fournette based on the most recent injury reports. At the 6.5, I like Houston. When it was over 7, I'd like Jacksonville a little bit at that point. Houston may be a potential teaser play for you here. Again, you take them down through 6, through 4, through 3 with a low total. Not the most plus EV teaser play because you'd like to get the 7 in there as well. But I don't see any way Houston loses this game. Covering the number may be a little bit more difficult. So lean very slightly on Houston. Maybe they're part of a teaser package if you have to have action on that game. Cleveland and Baltimore. Baltimore 5.5-point favorite here, total of 40.5. Browns getting a little bit of love here heading into the weekend. I agree with it. I think the Browns are playing with house money and they're willing to gamble with it. I kind of like that a little bit here in this spot against a Baltimore team that will be puckered up a little bit. They have everything to lose this week. The Browns going for their first winning season since 2002. Big motivating factor there. When teams are in must-win spots, that pressure sometimes does get to them, no matter how experienced they are. I think the Browns are worthy of a play here, plus the 5.5. Liked it a lot more at 6, obviously. But again, if you got to play that game for a pick'em contest or something like that, would take the Browns plus the 5.5. And they probably do wind up on my Super Contest card here as well, but they were getting 6 in the Super Contest. Atlanta and Tampa Bay, total up to 52 for this game. The favorite role has flipped twice now. Atlanta initially the favorite, then Tampa Bay, now back to Atlanta. Ryan Griffin expected to play a little bit for Tampa Bay, so that throws a wrench into everything. I like the over, but with Griffin playing, I don't know how much he'll be out there, so don't really love anything about this game, really overall here, but would have to lean to the over, expecting neither one of these defenses to really care all that much. Miami and Buffalo, this number is all the way up to 5.5 now in some places. Buffalo getting significant money here throughout the week. I agree with that line move. We're going to take Buffalo 3.5 in the Nugget and also the Super Contest. At 5.5, very tough game to take here. I would certainly expect this game to be fairly low scoring, total of 39.5, but the total going up from 38 to 39.5. Still think Buffalo wins this game, but obviously some lost line value here, crossing through 4, going on up to 5.5, and we'll probably get to 6 as well. So lean Buffalo, but obviously not a ton of equity left in that number. Indianapolis and Tennessee, big-time game Sunday Night Football. Marcus Mariota expected to go for Tennessee. Who knows how effective he will be here. I like Indianapolis. They're on our card in the Nugget and the Super Contest. They're a 3-point favorite here. I don't see Andrew Luck and Frank Reich losing this game to a really limited Tennessee offense. And also, I think Tennessee's defense a little bit overrated this season as well. A lot of options for Indianapolis. They moved the ball at will on Tennessee in the first game. Would expect them to do the same thing here, even though they do go outside. I'd have to play this game down in the Music City, but Indianapolis -3, the side I like in that one. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh 14.5-point favorite. Total on this game 45.5. Not a whole lot of interest in this game at all whatsoever either. Obviously Pittsburgh with something to play for, but they still need help. Cincinnati, not a whole lot to play for except for the last game for Marvin Lewis. Would take the 14.5 if I had to in a pick'em contest or something like that. But overall, not a game I'll be interested in. Chicago and Minnesota. Minnesota 4.5-point favorite for this one. Total 40.5 on this game. Chicago, it's tough to know what they're going to look like here. Not a whole lot to play for. Don't control their own destiny to move up or anything like that. For Minnesota, they obviously need this game because they're right there on that wild card cut line. But Kirk Cousins does not play well against good defenses. The Bears will be a little bit shorthanded without Eddie Jackson, but still a good defense. And I think schematically, they've got a lot of guys that fit well in the 2 deep into that Vic Fangio system. I would take Chicago plus the 4.5 here. I know Minnesota's got everything to play for, but I think Chicago, and Chase Daniel, of course, getting some playing time here during the season. I think Chicago, I think they're in a good spot here. I wouldn't even be surprised, quite frankly, if they won this game outright against Minnesota. So I'll take the Bears plus the 4.5 there. Chargers and Denver, 6.5 is the number for this game. Total of 42. Hard to believe that there's much left in the tank for Denver. Lame duck head coach and Vance Joseph. Some injuries at the running back position. Case Keenum hasn't played well. The problem here is that if Kansas City is blowing out Oakland, which is very possible this week, as I already mentioned, the Chargers don't have much to play for in the second half. Very dangerous to lay a number in that scenario. So if I had to do anything here, this is, and many games set up like this is a good opportunity for live betting. I would maybe look at Denver in the second half if the Chargers look like they're going to rest some guys or something like that. As far as a full game play goes, for people that don't have access to live betting or are looking for something for a pick'em contest, it would be the Chargers, just because if Kansas City's in a game, the Chargers have incentive to play for 60 minutes here. So, maybe you look to live hedge or something like that. But I would take the Chargers. Don't love it, though. Arizona and Seattle, 13.5 the number here. Total of 38.5. Big time spread with a total this low. The Seahawks already into the playoffs. They clinched their spot last week. Arizona, one of the worst teams in the NFL. Showed it again last week against the Rams. Sharp money coming in on Arizona here. I guess I would reluctantly take that side if I had to do anything. No reason for Seattle to risk Russell Wilson or anything like that here in this spot. So tough, I think, for the Seahawks to cover a big number with how limited they could be offensively later on in this game. One more here, San Francisco and the Rams. Probably going to wind up with San Francisco plus 10 on my Super Contest card here. The Rams, again, just not really a team set to blow people out. I mean, it felt like they could have really put that game away last week against the Cardinals. Just didn't have as much of a killer instinct as we've seen. Maybe C.J. Anderson has another good week this week, but Todd Gurley dinged. I don't think there's any reason to play Jared Goff a ton here. I think San Francisco is playing very, very hard. They're using this season to evaluate their defense because they know the offense will be better when Jimmy Garoppolo comes back next year. So I'll take the 49ers plus the 10. And as I said, probably winds up on my Super Contest card. Great content coming your way all weekend long at BangTheBook.com. Make sure you check it out here. Thanks for watching this. Hopefully the picks turn themselves around a little bit. I'm Adam Burke from BangTheBook.com.